All right, let's just go over what's going on with aerospace engineers, and let's keep it simple. We're just talking about the labor supply and cost in this first slide, and then next we're going to talk about the competitive effect and growth of this very important occupation throughout every single MSA in the United States. So the first thing that we've got is just very simple, supply and cost. Over here you can see we have the number of jobs by the MSA, and then over here we have the cost. So what I've got also noted on this chart is in blue, we have some of the specific MSAs within Florida. Here you can see this is Jacksonville, Florida. We've got Orlando, and then of course Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Florida. This is probably the space capital in Florida, I would say. But let's just look at where these markets sit relative to all the other cities. You can see there are tons of cities down here at the bottom. Like a lot of them just don't have any aerospace engineers whatsoever. And what I want to do is I want to compare this market to all the other ones, this Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Florida. And I'm going to go ahead and simply click on it. And now you can see the average lines for the jobs and the dollars for the 75th percentile annual earnings. So this is what you could pay in each one of these markets to be competitive to lure employees away from an existing employer. So 75th percentile is one of our favorite database or data points to use. Here we got the 75th percentile. You can see there's just a couple markets right above this Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville that have a larger labor supply. So it looks like Denver has a little bit larger labor supply. Right now, we're sitting at 1,460. Looks like Denver has 1,600. Houston, San Diego, Wichita, Kansas, Dallas, Washington, Huntsville, Alabama, Seattle, and then LA at the very top. So these are all the markets that have a larger labor supply, but there's very few that actually have a larger labor supply and are less expensive. So out of all the markets that do have a larger labor supply, specifically for aerospace engineers, you can see that Wichita, Kansas does have a larger labor supply and a little bit of a price break, as well as Dallas, Fort Worth. But all the other markets, all the ones over here that have a larger labor supply, are definitely more expensive than right here. So Denver, more expensive. Houston, more expensive. San Diego, more expensive. Washington, Huntsville, and Seattle, and Los Angeles. So there's an opportunity cost. If you want a larger supply, you're going to have to pay for it. So right now we're sitting pretty good because we do have a large labor supply and relatively lower cost compared to all the other places people could go. Now, one other important thing to consider is not only the existing labor supply, but the cost. So let's check out the growth. And again, we've got our 75th percentile earnings on this axis and then our competitive effect right here. So we're trying to look at the growth predicted over time for these markets as compared to the US average and seeing just how competitive these markets are. So a more competitive market for this aerospace engineer talent is going to be on the far right over here. And then we want it lower down in cost. So that would be the winning ticket, is somewhere over in like this quadrant, like way down here in the bottom right. If we could get something like this, that would be perfect, but that's not going to happen. So here, let's look at those same markets over again. You can see that we still have those blue dots representing our locations in Florida. And right here, Palm Bay is all the way over to the right in competitive effect. It beats out so many markets on competitive effect. There's only two that actually have a higher competitive effect, and that is Ogden, Utah, and Boston. But you can see that our labor supply is about 1,400 with one of the largest competitive effects. And so if you wanted a larger competitive effect in terms of growth, you could go to Ogden, but you're going to cut the labor supply in half roughly from what we've got going on over here in Palm Bay, as well as Boston. So Boston has a larger competitive effect, but a lot less labor supply, half the labor supply, and it's up there in price. So if you can look, we've got two things going on. We've got a good supply and cost, and the growth is in the top three. There isn't any other market that has all three of these winning combinations.